Hello, folks. Welcome to the very first episode of Speaking from the Heart, a new podcast series in which we talk about things that matter most to us, not just from our heads, but from our hearts. So sit back, relax, and if you're driving, please take care out there. Hi, I'm Richard Fontanie, and I'll guide you through today's discussion. And as I mentioned, this is the first in the Speaking from the Heart series. For those who wish to listen, I will integrate Christian gospel teachings and how they relate in today's business world, work, and life. Now, we're starting with a topic that is close to my heart, servant leadership. It's something that everyone can practice regardless of their job, their role in life, or status in life. It's about leadership in its truest form, leading others. So let's just jump right in. When we think of leadership, we first think that the image that comes to mind is a person at the top. The boss, the CEO, the manager. But here's the thing. Leadership doesn't always mean being the person with the most power or authority. Leadership, at its core, is about influence. And servant leadership takes this step further by focusing on the well-being and growth of others. So exactly what is servant leadership? Well, it's a leadership style that flips the traditional top-down model on its head. Instead of leading by telling people what to do, a servant leader listens, supports, and empowers others to be their best. It's about service first. The kind of leadership that prioritizes the needs of people that you are leading, whether it's at work, at home, or in your community. Now, here's the beauty of servant leadership. Anyone can be a servant leader. You don't need to have a fancy title or a corner office. You don't need years of experience or special training. It's about how you approach your relationships with others. Leadership is about actions and not positions. Now, you can be a servant leader in your family, at your job, or even in everyday situations with your friends or with your peers. Servant leaders put others first. They inspire by example and help others succeed. Think about people in your own life who have made the biggest impact on you. Chances are they didn't lead you by barking orders or exercising control. Instead, they probably inspired you by listening to your needs, by encouraging you to grow, and by helping you see the potential that is really inside yourself. And that's the essence of real servant leadership. So how does servant leadership integrate with Christian gospel teachings? Well, in many ways, servant leadership echoes gospel teachings. Jesus exemplified it in his own life. He taught that true greatness comes from serving others, famously saying, "Whoever wants to become a great among you must be your servant," from Matthew chapter 20. He washed his disciples' feet as a profound example of humility and love, showing that no act of service is too small or beneath us. By prioritizing someone else's needs, Jesus demonstrated that leadership is not about power or status. It's about lifting others up, guiding them with compassion, and empowering them to find purpose in their lives. Through his actions, Jesus taught that serving with love and humility has a powerful, informative, transformative impact on those around us. This message forms the heart of servant leadership, leading by serving, just as Jesus did with both strength and compassion. Now, let's look at this concept in action. Picture this. Lisa is a mid-level manager at a growing tech company. She has a team of 6 people working under her, and she could easily lead with a heavy hand, enforcing rules, giving orders, and constantly monitoring her team's progress. But she doesn't. Instead, Lisa spends time with each of her team members, asking them what support they need to do their jobs. She listens to their concerns and helps remove obstacles in their way. When a problem arises, she's the first to offer her assistance, but never takes credit for her team's work. She lets them shine. Lisa practices servant leadership by lifting her team up rather than using her position to control them. And guess what? Her team performs better because of it. They feel valued, supported, and respected, motivating them to work harder and develop creative solutions. Servant leadership is about building trust. And when people trust you, they want to do their best for you. Let's take another example outside of work. Servant leadership doesn't just belong in the office, as I mentioned, or a boardroom. It applies to everyday life. And maybe you're part of a community group, or maybe you're organizing a family gathering. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be a leader. In fact, sometimes leadership is about quietly making sure others feel heard. For example, imagine you're organizing a family reunion. You've got a lot of opinions flying around, and it could easily you could easily take charge and make all the decisions yourself. But instead, you start asking everyone else what they would like. You listen to the different ideas, are encouraging others to take on tasks that they're excited about, and you support the group's vision rather than just your own. In this scenario, you're a servant leader. You're leading by listening, supporting, and helping others contribute to in meaningful ways. Now that we've explored what servant leadership looks like in both work and life, let's talk about how you can put it into practice. Here are 3 simple action steps that you can start taking today. Number 1, you can listen more than you speak. This might sound easy, but it's harder than it looks. We often jump in with our thoughts or our solutions in our fast-paced world. But servant leadership starts with listening, really hearing what others are saying. Now, next time you're in a conversation, focus on listening more deeply before responding. Number 2, ask how you can help. Now, whether you're at work, home, or anywhere else, make it a habit to ask others, how can I support you? It's a simple question, but it opens up a world of possibilities. You'll be amazed at how this small act of service strengthens your relationships and brings the best out of others. And number 3, you can lead by example. Now, servant leaders just don't talk the talk. They walk the talk. Now, if you want to inspire others, show them through your actions, just as Jesus did in the gospel story. Be the first to lend a hand, the first to admit a mistake, and the first to give credit to others. Now, when you lead by example, people are naturally drawn to you to follow. So that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this talk about servant leadership, be sure to subscribe to the FM e-learning podcasts and give us a thumbs up. Oh, and don't forget, next week's episode is going to be all about hope. How we can find hope when things feel uncertain, and how we can inspire hope in others. I promise you, it's going to be a conversation you don't want to miss. So stay tuned. Now, before I go, I want to share a couple of resources in the description below that inspire today's episode. Also, dip into the gospel teachings and discover how often you find service to others is located there. Now, thank you for listening today. Remember, leadership isn't about being the loudest voice or holding the most power. It's about serving others, lifting them up, leading with your heart. I'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to listen to our Wednesday's podcast. And this year, the theme is about personal development and growth. Bye for now.